There we go. That should be working. Oh, you know. There we go. Oh, that was a pain in the ass. So last week I had a touchscreen that I replaced my Stream Deck with because it worked really well. And I could have the virtual touchscreen on it, the virtual Stream Deck on it, but I could also have the terminal window, so I could have it down to my left here. Well, it died, so I quickly ordered a replacement, and um, I had a USB-C cable coming out the back of the PC, and I plugged the microphone into there when I started, so I don't leave it on all the time. And the new screen died instantly. So yeah. Cleto, hello. How you doing? Good day. So yeah, I'm a bit discombobulated because I've had to put the Stream Deck in, which I don't like the Stream Deck. I think it's too clunky and and unusable. It's just an impractical device to have on my desk if I'm going to take that space up. So yeah, someone from a fit company just reached out asking if I'd be interested in joining their team. Know about Barely Fit, so how don't they see that as a conflict of interest? I just don't. It's just a big clunky box that does nothing other than just a few scenes for me. I don't use it. I don't like the dials on. I've got the Stream Deck Plus. I've had a few Stream Decks. I've got two or three. I just don't like it. I think it's a useless device, considering it takes up space on my desk. I got it with an XLR dock. It's the sound and stuff. Because it's useless. And I'm not a macros sort of person, right? I don't have a lot of like, oh well, I can press this button and trigger this and do this. I've never done that. Um, so it's a lot of space, and the audio is terrible. So yes, there we go. That's my problem. So yeah. Eh. So I have the Stream Deck Plus, right, and I have the XLR dock with it. So I used it for my XLR mic, um, which is a useful feature without a doubt. Except the audio software on the Elgato side is terrible. So proven by Wayne's stream on Saturday, where his stream audio dropped 3 times because the software just died. But I just don't like Elgato's ecosystem. Right? And the reason I moved to a wireless mic is because I had the Elgato low profile arm, and it's terrible. It won't hold position. So I was being very grumpy over it all. So yes. Now I have windows all over the place. I've got to drag them to see things, and it's just inconvenient. I like my little touchscreen, but now I'm scared to buy the other one. Yeah. However, that being said, all whiny complaints aside, um, I did make progress after last stream on getting all the Postgres stuff tidied up. So I think I'm almost back to a level playing field. Um, on slash Kaizu. Let's start this up. Dogs, don't you start arguing over who gets the bed because you're going to keep turning our monitor off. It's going to be one of them days. Not for regular dev right now. No, I'm testing it. I'm practicing it. I've got a machine set up. I've got it hooked up to be able to use. I downloaded code on it. Did remote dev stuff. not quite ready to move yet. Mm. Nicholas, good morning. Oof, how did that go? The dentist. Oh, no. Some files? G. Come on. Oh, it's gonna be one of them days. NGC. Getting you for permission denied. I was permission denied. Uh, Tell me I've got a lot node process. Wow. Node runtimes take 1 gig. Something ends on the stream, I apologize. Win yet? Oh, it's gonna be one of them days. So many folders. 18,000 folders in the temp directory. Ridiculous. Oh, I just work here. Oh, welcome to me struggling through getting a computer to do what it should do. That's awesome. It'll be very entertaining. Um, I was hoping to continue demonstrating or verifying that Postgres has gone through everything. So um, late last week, I got the application up and running again after the Postgres thing. Well, I need to get work done that involves K-pop. Always maybe. Thank you very much for coming to join the stream at the beginning. I appreciate it. Thank you for making the notification worthwhile. To give up Windows, what are you gonna miss other than games? Maybe. Not even games. I was playing Skylines 2, Da Vinci, House of Da Vinci 2 yesterday. I was playing Diablo 4 off Battle.net, all on Linux. Um, um, yeah, watching just not hearing. Um, so even games aren't a problem. And I'm switching. I'm probably going to switch. I'm going to go to a mini PC with Linux. We're going to test development on there. We're going to test everything else works, and then eventually probably move this one over. Oh, please stop turning off monitor. My monitor just keeps blinking out. So yeah, I think it's Mhm. Okay, here we go. What is this caused by? Um, I thought this was a node process failing, but I stop WinNat. I'm going to end up with a bump in the stream, aren't I? Why would this fail? That's my main PC died some time ago. Basic, that many Windows. Yeah. So I installed Garuda Linux on both on my primary gaming or my secondary gaming machine, um, my living room gaming PC, and I installed Garuda on a little B-Link mini PC. I say little; it's got 64 gig and an 8745 HS, so it's not exactly a slouch. Um, I'm gonna tinker more with that. I did some remote dev stuff on it last week, and it worked perfectly fine. I was able to check out this project and build it at least. Sounds like your port is already taken. No, my port is a different mess. Um, no, Garuda is just a an Arch-based Linux distro that came recommended for gaming. And I will say that from a gaming perspective, I have an AMD graphics card. I got to preface that because I know AMD works a little better on Linux. Nvidia's um, workable, but AMD has a little better support, I think. Um, so I installed the machine, and within 30 minutes, um, um, oh, that's Azite is the other one, kind of the gaming focused one. I have gremlins in my. This is what killed my little monitor. Ugh. Um, yeah. So within 30 minutes of hitting go on the install, I was actually playing games. I was playing Steam games, and according to Steam, when I put Linux compatibility, most of my game collection is in there of some 400 games is compatible with Linux. Right? I've been playing Diablo 4 on Battle.net, which is a Windows app, all weekend, and I don't notice any performance problems with it. No slowdowns, no jutters, no jankiness. Um, oh, this might cause a stream outage. That might cause a bump in it. That changes. I think that's more the fact that I just restarted. Um, and on the dev side, Rider should run no issues. And other, yeah, I mean, Rider, all the JetBrains apps are cross-platform, so I can use Rider um, and Docker, everything else. So um, it's not, it's completely feasible. Like I said, I did install right. I did install remote. You can go here and do remote development, and I did install it on the machine and tested building this application and whatnot on there. It worked fine. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Okay, so Kaizu. Wait for everything to initialize. There you go. Okay. So initiatives backlog, I've been going through and verifying behaviors. Right, doing a bit of styling cleanup as well, which I've got to stop doing that. I've got to start focusing on getting one thing done and not doing the typical developer. Oh, look, that needs fixed and that needs fixed. Got to start tracking that. So as we've moved everything over from Postgres, over to Postgres, we now have the requirements working again. Tasks are not working, interestingly enough. So planning deliverables, initiative functionality. So when we add a task, we want to verify adding works. I'm wondering whether I should put acceptance criteria as a list here that you can add things to, kind of encourage um, the use of it. Uh, Again, one of the things I'm trying to do with this project is to make it kind of tell the story of how to do the things, um, help people gather the right requirements for what they're doing. Yeah. So, Bilal on YouTube, my apologies. Thank you very much for saying hi. I have challenges with uh, screens this morning, apparently. Restream.io, I cannot get Restream.io to work again. I need to figure that out so that I can have both chats going together. And I'm not paying for Restream. Um, Streamerbot, let's see if Streamerbot's feeling good today. My right hand side monitor keeps blinking on and off. Don't know why. Apologies if that screws with the stream. Good. Put the cable back in. The dogs have been rolled up underneath. I gotta believe a cable's being pulled off. Come on. Um, so I apologize for any lack of attention to messages. Challenging. Okay, I'm gonna have to move on. Okay, so um, yeah, acceptance criteria. I'm wondering if I need to kind of give the users an ability to say, "Oh, this is acceptance criteria. This is acceptance criteria," and guide them through that. But that's for later on. We'll worry about that later. When we add a task, I want to see the task. Task should be listed under requirements. Task should appear backlog. Task should appear in. It shouldn't appear anyway. It should just be appear in the backlog and that in punch. Okay, we have an error there. I think we had an error. Yes. So tasks. Now this is the first time tasks has been touched, so the reality is that probably missing um namings, probably all sorts of other stuff missing. So let's go to tasks. That with the context. Yep, we're missing it. Exactly why it's failing. That's what I'm saying. I've been going through bit by bit by bit, building up the application again, making things work. Some of it was because errors happened early on and Kafka messages trickle through. Some of it because um, the database wasn't configured correctly. But here, what I need here is like this isn't the worst thing in the world to deal with from a configuration side. This is the cost of having Postgres. And some of this I still have to go through and take the time to learn why it's necessary. So this is because of, I know why this is. This is because of the way I do field accesses. Frank, hello, good morning. Um, Now we apply the assemblies and then we do snake case convention so these build properly. I think if the order's wrong, the fields won't be built by the time this hits. And yeah, you can't do this before you've built everything, which does make sense. So with that done, print configuration. Now I did learn print tasks. I think that should work for tables. Are the comment fields just strings? Can they be marked down? In the application, they are. I believe they are Markdown compatible. Maybe not. Oh, hold on. Brain work. Been a while. I think they are Markdown compatible. We'll test it. The problem is with things like the comments. Wasn't in the comments, it doesn't matter. But I don't just. I'm gonna do display them as text. Let's give it a try. Give it a try. I know that Mojo and I experimented with Mermaid. And I did have some Mermaid functionality in here. However, it was kind of flaky. If I had a task, it locked it out. It errored. Left the fields locked. That's interesting. As always, if you have questions, thoughts, opinions, welcome to share. Tasks should be functional. When we add task, task, tasks should be for the requirements attached to here. Backlog. Punch. That should be functional. Right now, this isn't the true test. The true test is when I refresh the screen afterwards. We'll test that in a second. And then if I go to implementation, backlog, that should be functional. Yeah, see, this is an edit box, which is why that's useless there. But I think it does actually allow it to find user Alan, save. I did go through, no problems. Task dashboard undefined. Planning backlog. So that should be functional. We can bring up that and let's create a sprint. Let's sprint 1 punch. Starts today. 9. Not a nice time picker, but it's fine. I am. And Friday. Yeah. Punch. Okay. So planning. Generally, the when I create something, if I see it immediately, normally that's confirmation that it's working because um, I only continue if I get an ID back from the server. So all creates return the identifier of the thing itself so we can track it, which means we can turn around and edit it. Even if its data isn't quite there yet, that's the eventual consistency part, right? So there's the part you have to deal with. When here, no, that one, no, not that one, that one. Okay, we have a task. I believe more requirements. Um, Good work. Markup. Yeah, there you go. So not perfect, but that's straight through work. So it's definitely picking up Markdown at some point. Why isn't that working? Or is it being? Oh, it's definitely processing the Markdown somewhere, but I don't know why that's not doing sizing and stuff. Yeah. So the intention is for them to be Markdown compatible. Yes. Um, um, or actually, go through progress, implementation, backlog, line sprint 1, punch. Okay, no visual indicator that did anything. Awesome. Did it fail? Did not fail. Boards. There you go. Yeah, see, that shouldn't be. I think I want to see a view of that. Go to good morning. I think I need to be able to see a view of it. It's non-editable. I think that's what would help there, because then this would make sense. You don't always want to edit it. You don't need to edit it to see what you need to do on it. Functional, functional. Oh, skunk on my what? Oh, joy. Hope you were able to avoid it. Okay. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we can take a sprint and we can. Okay. So things are looking like they're working. Assign this to me. Assign project manager. Alan. That. Back to backlog. Yep. So Alan is the owner of the initiative. Alan is the owner of the product management. Now, adding new users. Challenging. So subscriptions. This is here just to verify. Like, if you have no subscription, in theory, this is all you should see, which would be frustrating, because then all you'd see is that. Um, so if the system fails to register your subscription, that is pretty much all you'd see, and you can't navigate to anything else because it's all locked down behind having your subscription access. But that's a refinement for later. Okay, so we have one active initiative, total contributors 1. We put a 2 estimate on it, so it's catching that. At the requested timeline of this to be March 6th to March 3rd. Okay. 3-year long feature, and I'm trying to think of it. Of if we should try to break it into smaller deliverables. If. Is there even an if there? Think of your sprint board right now. Only really a value one. Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't build deliverables along the way. Deliverable doesn't need to be deployed. But you should have it in a testable state. I would build it depending on how visual it is. I would build it and plan to build it out in segments of functionality so that you can deliver something and get it verified. Because if you go 6 months without any feedback, very visual about, and I would deliver. Again, you don't delivery does not need to be to production, and value doesn't need to be complete to be value. But if you've got, let's say, I introduce, um, let's do it. I'm gonna assume that most of this is right, but there's value along the way, right? The value of having it testable, having it visible, having the value comes in. The value in the development process comes in having the ability to change what is. So if you go 6 months into a project and finally deliver something, and there's a bunch of things wrong when they see it, you've got no, like, that's a lot of investment in time to turn around. So, but if you go a month or 2 weeks, you deliver something and someone sees something and goes, oh, okay. And they get used to that cadence of seeing it and seeing it. So when you're doing things, you're delivering it and getting to test it, you can react quicker. And that's, yeah, it's the actual argument, right? If you deliver, that's exactly what I was going to say, by the way. If you deliver that incrementally, even if you're not delivering it to production, the value is still there in that process. So you should deliver soon. I think one of my big mistakes is assuming that or was assuming that only in production added value. Thing was done, bunch of Jira tickets planned out, etc. Right? You can't plan a year ahead. I would argue you cannot plan, not to a fine grained. Oh, here's how the development's going to go, unless the software development is actually simple. But if I go, I don't want to develop a feature just. I mean, who knows when it gets delivered if we're guessing it. Right. So that is my entire purpose of this project. Right. So you have an initiative. Your initiative is, scheduled for a year. Yeah. 631 or 12631, as I put it. Again, I don't know where I picked that up or if I just came up with that myself. I don't know. But at 12 months out, you don't know very much. You might have an inkling of an idea. At 6 months out, you should have a solid idea of what you want to do the next 6 months. And at 3 months out, your developers should have a damn clear idea of what it is they're going to be building. At 1 month out, they should be planning what they're building quite routinely. Promising one thing in 6 to 12 months is very different from 12 things in 12 months, right? But again, if you have an initiative that's a year long, you have a bunch of deliverables defined, like probably dozens of deliverables, right? Those deliverables, each one has a set of requirements and tasks associated with it. Right. So you have 50 deliverables marked out. You've broken all those down into their subsequent requirements. Like from a planning perspective, getting to that point would be a major milestone. And again, it's why I focus on why I'm going to focus on the indications of we're on track, we're off track, given these dates, right? At this level, I want to be showing people, hey, these initiatives are at risk. They're facing some challenges. We have some delays, so that the management can do that. And the planning level, similar, the risk here being attached to show them we need to do something about this. We've got some challenges. Mojo, good morning, by the way. I didn't know. And then, drilling down into these, getting the requirements out there, then the implementation backlog. This is going to be one of the big challenges for me, is actually giving some level of priority to the backlog. The devs had to make these tickets, these deliverables. The devs are defining requirements. Be interesting. No possible risk of assumption creeping in there. Has to be the devs, because you don't have effective product management, or interesting. Okay. Why is this? Why is this at the repository level? So today our accounting team goes live with a new accounting app. I got popcorn at the office. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good day. Okay. Well, 7:48. I barely done anything other than verified tasks are working. About a month though. At the end of the if you're going to put a new accounting app live, do it properly. Do it on like the 28th or 29th. You got to put it. You got to give enough buffer space to make everyone panic that you're not going to get the stuff done. Okay, so I think, save for probably some quirks and bits here and there, we do have a functional Kaizu again. um, okay, so what do I want to do? These buttons now look out of place. They look out of place considering the rest of the buttons look like that. They've got different styles. Like those is kind of weird. Oh, we run our months in 13-4 period, yeah. Imagine that's going to be challenging. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's assign this to. Realistically, what I'm verifying on the back end is, apologize, the bright white screen that's about to appear. Oh, it's not about to appear, apparently. So Kafka's working, but Red Panda console isn't. Oh yeah, there's a problem with that one. I'm not really allowed to make apps that took all the data that was imported in the old system and transformed it to the new system. Initiatives, planning, etc. And the menu right below it should probably be in the same RY. The pressure was on you too. Oh, gosh. Accounting pressure, never good. Single switch over, I'm guessing. Okay, we're crossing over conversations. Okay. I know, I kind of like that. It made sense to me. The top level is the section, and the next menu down is the subsection. Why drop downs? I mean, there's something to be said about the font size. I think the font size is a little too small. I think overall this works for now, but I think if I was to get a review of this done by someone with some professional experience, um, I think the concept is there. It's this probably gets my idea across um, way more than the other method. Each section might have a core to differentiate. Potentially, like I don't mind. I don't dislike the idea of having different header cores or something. But at the same time, it delivers the concept much cleaner than the previous. But yeah, I don't want to find someone with expertise in there before I start screwing too much around with that because Yeah, this is the challenge of having AI development, right? A lot of this is generated between Figma, um, and what that's meant is it's pulling together different concepts, jamming them together. So it is fine. Okay. I don't want to get too focused on the UI UX though, because it'll drive me, it'll take me down a rabbit hole that will just waste time on functionality. I figure out what functionality I need to do right this second. I need to. This is the one downside to doing this on stream. Not being ready for this. Uh, or cleaning up the designs. This was necessary. I look at Facebook, the menus horizontal, vertical. No, I didn't give the AI a starter template on this one. I did. Gave it some rough guidance and made sure I detailed the flow. Yeah, it pretty good job of nailing it. I want the key with the blue and the green, a bit more splash of color, but it's pretty. I appreciate that. Much better looking than the other. Okay, that's that. A past context. Yeah, probably want to start a series there. That is a skill set unto itself. So, how often I do that? What, write articles or? Uh, so, unfortunately, the only thing I can do right this second is to go and get it. Now, this isn't the best way of doing this. I added the Postgres thing. So, um, write something on too broad a topic. I think a lot of people kind of do that. Not until you know enough to drill in that you get to see the details. So it's uncommon. Okay, so all I'm doing right now is I'm going to project merge to pair and might cause problems for me. 154 files changed. Pull request. The beauty of testing it this way, well, say the beauty. The problem with testing it this way, the problem with me building this, PRs kind of useless right now, but I'm trying to hold to that pattern so that if and when someone else comes along and testing this on a daily basis, that I can still follow that routine and it's not too difficult to get my head out of. Because if I follow this, I'm at least thinking about the cost of doing it. Even if I'm doing 154 file changes and I'm just going to merge it in, there's no way I'm reviewing everything I've done. But overall, this change included new SQL scripts. These are not correct because the prereqs are the actual order of them. You can probably delete these. I can probably delete. These do not have any value. Right? So there's an entire project dedicated to prereqs, which is the whole Docker piece, all the pieces necessary to get this project up and running. Kind of the DevOps project for this. You need the prereqs to be able to get the application running. So, and those scripts are now in there. They're run as part of that. What it does mean is as I make changes going forward, I have to make them in prereqs. This needs deleting eventually, but I'll archive this off somehow properly. So I don't have to go messing around with Git to get back and forth with that. The only thing you're doing, playing around with stuff like before. Yes. On and off. This is primarily what I'm working on now. I did do a little bit of experimentation over the weekend using Claude to. I was experimenting with Claude to build a new version of my game library again. I've done so many versions recently just to test. And I started off with, hey, Claude, talk to Figma, come up with a design. Here's the concepts. And it did. It talked to Figma, built out the design, came back and worked. And then I told it, hey, I have this data, I have this zip file of all the data from my games library. Go look through that and see what you can gather. But I don't want to do pricing right now. And it did. It unzipped the files, looked at everything, analyzed it, said you've got like this many unique games across this many platforms, and here's the data. I mean, I will say the one thing that I am certain of at this point is that is boring. I am bored out of my mind doing that stuff. It's just, and I know I could get the agents and stuff to work. I could get like build the agent teams to kind of multi-thread that to do it faster, but it's just boring, and the content that it produces is not as solid as you might hope. Without any prompting, I said, "Hey, I need to build a .NET 10 app using fast endpoints," without any further prompting. I mean, in terms of like complexity, it built me a .NET 10 app. It built me a fast endpoints app. It then put everything into the endpoints, right? So all the database actions were happening in there. It built a project like that, and that's my problem with apps that are generated this way, is they're going to get messier. Unless you know to say, hey, I want to follow this architecture, I follow this. But either way, it did build me an app. It did communicate with Figma. It built designs out. It was allowing me to list games. I could add a game, and I didn't write a single line of code. So I've been experimenting with that. I'm not going to stream that. I'm only going to stream this because this is time for streaming. But yeah. Yeah. Well, isn't that the problem with iCode? No, that if you don't know of what trust the AI, it builds something that might not be on the line. Well, I think the hope would be that the AI can understand the code enough to understand how to change it later if you don't know what you're doing. But I think we're going to have a situation where people don't understand the subtleties of what they've done. I don't understand how to tell it fix what they've done. So it just keeps making, and we've seen it. I bet we've all seen it if we played with this. If you try and tell it to do something and it doesn't understand the instruction properly, it will change things, and it will continue to change things. And every time you say it's wrong, it'll change something else because it basically gets into that hacky guess mode that we've all been in before, where we're struggling to understand why something's not working, so we keep changing everything, and we don't validate that. So yeah, I think if you want an AI to go at the back end, SEO. Right, with this application, I am 100% not going near AI for backend. Other than, sorry, 100% is wrong. I will use AI to learn off of. I will ask questions. I will try and understand things. I will not have it analyzing the code. I'll do that in Claude on the web, and I will do it that way. Vernacular, welcome in. They modeled AI off how the human brain works, and that shot that the AI lets. That's yeah, that's like the human brain. Yes, it's fascinating. Come on. Okay. Fast change. Okay, so we removed all them. Those are SQL Server scripts. Kafka static method. No, because it's an extension. The instance method. That's interesting. Sonar Cloud wasn't called there. Okay. Well, I know the app's in general working. Again, I'm following this process purely to follow the process, not to actually to get into the habit of creating the PRs, not necessarily to do the PR review. This was a particularly big thing to do. Morning, Sully. How you doing? Class rules, squash and merge. So for anyone just joining, this was me migrating away from SQL Server to Postgres. I have been working on this project for quite a while, and SQL Server had to go. Moving to Postgres will allow me to shift a little bit quicker on the deployment side. I think I'll get set up for work early. Because have a great day. Enjoy your popcorn. Very smart. So SQL Server is what I've known for longest time, right? It is a tool I am very familiar with. The syntax, what's available to me, I'm very familiar with. However, if I want to deploy this application the way it is, if you haven't seen this application before, it is a little bit of a monster. I have many databases, genuinely many databases. I have, I'm using Mongo, I'm using SQL Server. So if I want to deploy this, SQL Server licensing means that I can't deploy SQL Server without costing myself some money, right? Or moving to Azure, which will cost a whole lot more money. So I am, I moved to Postgres, and it wasn't too bad. The code is in general held up. A few changes to tables, etc. A few changes to data types, and we're running pretty well. I have a lot of experience across DBs and still prefer PG4. Go for Smart and C# is amazing. Nice. Haven't gone too much near the critter stack. on the list of things to do at some point, I think. Oh, really? That not actually go through? How would that fail? Did it do them not saving the CS proj files? This is going to be painful. Dependency. Oh, don't do this. Not that. That. Test. Let's see what happens. Did you really do it? Did you lose everything? The numbers here don't make sense on what it's lost. Well, in theory, upgrading everything should work because that's what it was. I'm using global package management. Why that would be a problem, I have no idea. I want to see that disappear and not a big red box here, though. That would be bad. Oh, anyway, yeah, so moving to Postgres was a step towards making a more deployable application, fewer licensing requirements, much safer bet. SQL Server, you can deploy for free, but you have to deploy SQL Server Express. And I'm not planning on, when I put this up, I'm not planning on making it a paid app. I'm just putting it up. I want people to be able to test it and play with it and see how they feel. Interesting. Oh yeah, Spire doesn't update because Spire is not in global package management. We have to go here, update app host. That should be. Aspire doesn't like global package management, and global package management doesn't like Aspire, by the way. Reference. That was not fun to get out of. Okay, so we should be running again. Why that did that, I have no idea. Package versions. Still frustrated why that didn't work. But let's test it before I do the commit. Once I get this up and running, I can show what it is I've been working on. And as always, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share. I'm not doing this naively. I'm doing this. I'm an experienced developer, not uh, not me trying to learn to code. This is me learning how I want to use these systems and how I use these tools. I go. So, but I'm always open to ideas, feedback. This is Kaizu, formerly Project Liquid Sky. It will work in a minute. There's a few services to. Kaizu is a project management and planning application built for delivery, is my goal. Focused on capturing requirements effectively and through to development in the smoothest possible way, in an opinionated way. Initiatives have deliverables, deliverables have requirements, requirements have tasks, tasks are what is worked upon. So we can work on tasks. Oh, we had a Kafka failure. So we had a sprint there before that was working perfectly fine. The fact that that's not there now, interesting that that failed. Let's go through and see where that failed. pass, have sprints, tables, sprints. We have our sprint in our table here. Do we have our, we won't have our sprint in our table over here. It's missing. We start here, topics, sprints. We got our sprint here, right? So on this side, there was a failure. But it's date times. Oh, universal time. Oh, that wasn't an update, it was an ad. 100% an ad. So one of the things I was trying to do, by the way, in moving to one of the things that took me the longest time was in moving to Postgres, rather than follow the SQL Server styles that I had. Right? So the SQL Server tables were all Pascal cased, the column names were all Pascal cased. I did try to make sure that I was being good and following more Postgres style standards on column names, table names, etc. So that did take a little while to get working with a lot of the code manipulation to get that to work. But that means that if someone comes along and they're familiar with using Postgres, that the queries they write, etc., will make sense to them and be usable, rather than just stick Microsoft's SQL Server standard in there. So that's what took a good chunk of the time here. Okay, so this is failing. So what we need to do is we need to put that running. We go over here to our consumer groups. We have to wait for the consumer groups to go silent, especially this one. This is one I'm after. Once the system stopped, I can go. Come on. A little while to register. It's not actually working. What we're going to do is we're going to find sprints. Come on. Not going silent today. Normally this happens pretty quick after this is stopped. There you go. Okay, so now we can expand that, hit that. This says move it to the earliest, right, which sets the group offset back to 0, and there's one message pending. So again, what I did there is I determined that I captured it on the server side. And like I said, if something passes on the server side, it's normally indicated by the fact that the UI works properly. So it got captured on the backend side. It produced the Kafka message. I went to the topic and validated Kafka message was there, and then validated that the data didn't appear in the view. So there was a failure on processing the Kafka message. So now we can reset that and retry it. Don't need to start everything up. Just this one. Okay, so we just view receivers, go here, start this one up. If you like watching app development, Tony Eagle, .NET developer working on his No Mercy media server, C Sharp, and Kotlin on the mobile side, and PHP, and a piece of it, and lots of different technologies going on there, media encoding, decoding, etc. Works on that a couple of days a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays normally. A lot longer streams than mine, but I would highly recommend. like .NET development. Thing. Oh, right. The print acquired value. So apply acquired values mean figure out the associated. Oh, yeah. Idea. This fails. Yep, DB update exception. An error occurred while saving the entity. Cannot write date time. Specify to Postgres. Only UTC deployed. Hmm. Okay, so this is me learning my translation parts. So I've got on it's saved over here. Have a look at what sprints looks like as a table. So start date time, end date. They shouldn't be time with timestamp on. The interesting challenge here is these are just ah. Why do I pass them as date? Sprints, sprint. Oh, I suppose they are. Of course, date time. I do set start date time on these ones. I'm thinking of initiatives that don't have date times. This is failing because that 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 would be horribly. That's a lot of dots. So we got to just validate that. Sadly, the moment it actually pulls that message out, it's going to apply it. I think I've got to change my pattern there on how to do. I think I pull it and commit it so that I can run. But that means that technically you can't fail. Because if that fails, it shouldn't actually count. The interesting challenge there is I assigned a task. That task should have failed. Yep, that worked. Now we should have. That's not right. That's not. Losing something in times there by doing it that way. I think I'm going to fall foul of translating dates and times multiple times there. It wasn't that repetitive. And that's going to mean that I translate it, then retranslate it, and translate it again. So it's going to end up being captured in UTC, assumed it's not UTC and converted to UTC, and then the same again. I think I'm going to whip myself up with that one. SQL Server doesn't have, by default, time zone concepts. So whatever time you give it is however you're treating it. So it means that the responsibility lands on the server side. Postgres has the concept of date times with time zones attached to them. So this might just be that I need to rejig how I deal with times in general, or I need to just get my understanding aligned, because what I've found is once you're out of line, once you make an assumption about how date times are working in the system, it becomes a real challenge to get yourself back into tech on those things. Let's see. The sprint's going to be wrong, and I'll be able to verify this pretty quickly by creating a new sprint with new start time and end time, and then seeing what time it comes out as. So there's my sprint, 1 p.m. on March 9th, finishing at Friday. So the dates are right. You working? I installed Rider on an Arch install last week. It worked fine. I actually did the remote as well. Oh. Garuda Linux. That's what I've been testing games. Off the office, I phone stream. I'm about to finish Unicus, so unfortunately, I only have until 8:30 Mondays and Thursdays. So have a great day. Enjoy popcorn. Catch you next. I'll be back on Wednesday evening. So, yeah. So Garuda is an Arch distro, and it worked fine. We have sprint one. So that's interesting because we assigned this one to that sprint, and everything worked in the UI. Thanks, Unicus. Have a great day. Okay, so now that's there. So we refresh. It might not be there initially, but yeah. So what I want to do there now is create a new sprint, add sprint, testing date times. Punch, set this at Tuesday the 10th, 10 a.m. I think that's going to be 3 p.m. when it comes. Friday the 13th, 9. Oh, I hate this control. Okay. 10 a.m., 9 a.m. That's valid. Okay. We know got through there. Yep. 1600 hours. It translated it. It's translated it. It moved it forward. If I refresh that now, testing date time is going to come out at like 1 p.m. 2 p.m. Yeah. 2 p.m. to 1 p.m. Yeah. That's the problem. So the client is offsetting for UTC. The client is assuming that what we're being provided with is UTC. So it's doing the adjustment. But I've double adjusted. I've moved it past there, so now it's adjusting it back. So even though the server is coming out and saying, "Hey, it's 6 o'clock." It's 4 hours as well for you. That right in a second, right? So, yeah. Oh, really? Ads? Oh, I apologize. However, I'm at time. There really is no .NET streamers, especially at this time of morning. If ever anyone has suggestions in the mornings, more than happy to listen to them. I didn't go through either. So we've got a few bugs there to chase down. So I've got to find um oh, yeah. Um names. So the likelihood there is what I'll have to do is actually make sure I'm assuming that I'll set the date time kind rather than that's why, yeah. And asks not signing. What I'll probably find is the same thing as well. The task is not being assigned to the sprint because it's not updating properly on the date times and stuff. So cool. Okay. Well, unless anybody has suggestions for a raid target, we're going to raid TJ Khalil. Sorry, my apologies. Um, Khalil is a designer. Does a co-working stream. Um, right now he's just doing his co-working thing, sat there. But he's the only person I know in my stream list. It's a nice stream. Anyway, it's just gone live, but share the love. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I will be back on Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll continue this. I'm going to get this working over the next couple of days, get tasks and stuff working, and then start to move towards initiatives and statuses. And yeah, we'll make more progress. Mojo, take care. See you in a bit. Go raid. PG. Okay. I think I'm a bit better at the streaming thing by now, but it's still new to me. Well, bad habit of messing this up. So take care all. Have a great rest of your day. I don't have an ending.